sharing a PowerPoint presentation about the future, our view on how the future of the Digital Innovation Hub community could become. So, it is not important.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can you just approach a little bit more the microphone, because we hear you a little bit far away?
Okay. So is this better?
Yeah, it's a little bit more better.
A little bit better. Okay, so my presentation is about the future. So I'm looking at 10 years ahead, and that's why the box is more important now than in other cases. So it's just the view of the DIHNET consortium as we are coming to an end with the DIHNET. It is, I think, interesting for us to share our opinion about the future of the European Digital Innovation Hub community. So why this community? Let's start with that. It is about Project Europe. DIHNET was about Project Europe, trying to get a little bit more momentum to engage the digital innovation hubs also to Europe. And this was about creating value for all. It was about exchanging experiments, etc., etc. Creating new business opportunities, increasing the impact of public funding on a European level. And it is also about connecting the regional side to the European side, because we think that's a crucial part. It is a crucial part to engage with the regions and getting them more stronger, but it is also about using the European network, the European level, to enhance those regional capacities, because in the end it must be done in the regions, of course. And what you can see is that we started in 2010, 2015 with the thinking about the Digital Innovation Hub. The concept of Digital Innovation Hub was coined in 2016. And then it grew towards a broader connection, a broader network. And now we are in 2020, 21, and we have established the concept of Digital Innovation Hub quite strongly. We're now getting towards the European Digital Innovation Hub and the networks. And I can tell you, it is unclear what 2030 will bring. But we can also see that there's a lot of momentum gained. And it's not only about the advanced digital technologies anymore as such, only for competitiveness. The advanced digital technologies are getting into greening, getting into circular, reliance, the pandemic, etc., etc. But we also expand, and that's what's happening, and that's already what's been told this morning. We're spending to different technologies. SMEs don't care about advanced digital technologies. They care about business, and if digital technologies can help, they'll use it. But if other technologies can help, they'll use those too. And what we can see is that the hubs are they started, of course, in the Smart Anything Everywhere IFRMS, but it expanded to so many more policies on national, regional, and European level. And it's now getting into the public sector, but it's also getting into defense, to transport, energy, with all different kind of shapes. And it's connecting the different levels of government. Although it's a European strategy, the European Digital Innovation Hubs and the Digital Innovation Hubs, it's getting really into the regional policies now. And last but not least, those European Digital Innovation Hubs, they will be coined as the backbone of advanced digital technologies. But will it stop there?
Maurits, we
Yes?
cannot see your slides.
You cannot see my slides?
Yeah.
I am presenting, so...
You should be sharing.
I am sharing.
Can you share again, maybe? Just leave and share again. Now, perfect.
Good,
We
good.
were wondering, like, well, that's a long intro, and then
Oh, yeah. So sorry about that,
yeah,
because I did click on share, but it didn't work.
perfect. Yeah, now we can see. Thank you.
So these were the first slides. I'll go through them very quickly again. So about creating value for all. It's about creating the connection between the regional and European level. And it is about the expansion of the Digital Innovation Hub momentum towards 2030 and where it's going to end. And of course, then the developments in our community about advanced digital technologies, expanding the concept of hubs in other policies in other sectors, and the different kind of shapes they are looking at now already. They're mentioned in the ERA hubs, in the AIT hubs, etc., and getting the connection between the regions and the European policy. So we had 4 different building blocks: the competence centers, the hubs, the regional networks, and the European networks. And it's getting busy. We are those hubs are increasingly popping up in different areas, and so we see some challenges. And those challenges were discussed already this morning. It's about reducing the overlap, increasing synergies, aligning effort, getting private involved, getting a better way of organizing information, and to create those inter-regional collaborations to connect the regional level to the European level. So now a little bit about our vision, about our idea of how that network could look like in 2030, so in about 10 years. The European side and the regional side, they are different functions, but they need to collaborate with each other. Where the regional side is very much about building up capacities, capabilities, ecosystems in the region, Europe is about connecting those regions, trying to create a European technology base and a technology and industry base, and to make it available for those regions. And what we see in the network, in the community, it is about 3 functions, 3 main functions. It is about boosting the regional ecosystem, but you do that together with enhancing the European technology and industry base, and you are focusing on forging those inter-regional collaborations. That, of course, needs to be coordinated, information needs to be shared, and it's about creating the networks, creating infrastructures, and creating those expertise. And that's a challenge that we need to do, because looking at those 3 functions, as I said before, the different kind of animals in the zoo, we need to make it a very structured way to do that. And this is a view that we have. So the region is about the EDIs, the Digital Innovation Hub, the competence centers. They need to be collaborating together, and there the DGA, but also AIT, EEN come to the place, come to the audience to coordinate that. And the European networks are very much about building up that technology, the technology industry base. And it needs to be coordinated. And what we see is some challenges there that we can develop. This is an overview about all those different responsibilities that are out there. And sure, those 4 functions are there, but there's a lot of entities, initiatives out there. It is about creating a very demarcated, focused view on the responsibilities that they have. Where, for example, the EDIs are about aligning regional RDI. Of course, the competence centers are about conducting the real RDI. And the networks are about connecting the different entities and the different activities within those regions. And with information and coordination, it's the same way. You need to demarcate and to limit the responsibilities and to focus them and to align them very much. That information is crucial. It's crucial to collaborate with each other to use high quality information. And it's about the collection of the information and about the sharing information. And what we see is a distributed approach there. So we don't think a single coordinated body on a European level is the way to go. You need to involve the regions to give the information and to allow them to share the information on the regional level. But there's a need for a backbone how that information can be collected, because if you want to share the information throughout Europe, it needs to be done in a very structured way. And there, the top-down and bottom-up needs to come together. As Geraldine also already pointed out, getting the private industry, the private sector involved is crucial. It's crucial for the survival of the European community, not only because it is creating the actual value, but to engage with each other in a very successful, impactful way, you need money. And what we see is that if you get the commercial, the service providers more involved in those eddies, and to put them also at the spot to allow them to provide the services, to commercial services to their industry customers, that's an important thing to do. And the eddies and the digital innovation hubs need to evolve more in that private sector. And with regards to the finance, it is crucial, we think, to create a fund on a European level, but it needs to be run and it needs to be made available to the eddies. Because if you do that, then you can create those interregional corridors, the interregional collaborations. And those interregional collaborations are crucial for Project Europe. It is about creating showcases that the interregional collaborations have added value. And what we see today is a very ad hoc way of dealing with interregional collaboration. There's an opportunity. A lot of the digital innovation hubs will be able to create those opportunities and to use those opportunities. But sustainable corridors up to a level where we can collaborate on the long term is very hard to achieve. And that blocks even the ad hoc opportunities to take those ad hoc collaborations, because the barriers to establish those collaborations are high. And if you create a structural collaboration, it'll get reduced. So the eddies need to incorporate that into their business. And of course, the DTA and all kind of the EEN can help to create those sustainable corridors and to lower the barriers to engage with this interregional collaborations. But it is all about paying for those collaborations, paying for the value. So we need to find out what kind of business models can be established, and it has to do with contracting, reducing barriers, allowing very quick access to and creating momentum, creating those ad hoc or projects to emerge and to take stock of them. And the DTA is a very crucial brokering element for that. And we hope that in the future, those barriers will be much lower. And of course, in the future, we see that the DTA is very much collaborative with the EEN, AIT, and other organizations that are out there that can facilitate those collaborations. And the eddies will be pivotal in creating the collaboration. But not only, in our view, not only anymore on digital, but also on other technologies. We already see that kind of movement, that kind of momentum being created in certain regions, where the others are there, but they're very closely connected to entities, regional entities that also cover other elements like materials, like the process process technologies already mentioned this morning, biotech, etc., etc. Because in the end, the regions are about creating creating more successful businesses, enhancing the innovation ecosystem, and digital technologies can be there, but also some other technologies. And then, of course, it is about creating the European network. Gateways act as gateways to other regions, gateways to other European capacities. There's the HPC centers now, the cybersecurity centers, they're popping up. You need to be able to make use of those capacities and capabilities. And in the future, it will be more. But aligning them is crucial because that will reduce, again, the barriers. So, concluding, we think it is crucial to limit the overlap between those different entities. We need to strive for that. That's a crucial element for the success of the European Digital Innovation Hub community in 10 years' time. If we do not do that, then it will never succeed. The overhead will be too high and the benefits, the revenues will be too low. So people will start walking away from the European community. And it is about aligning those information collected, but with a distributed approach. We need to be able to with your help, to find the most valuable information, but also to give that information back to you in a way that you can use it in a valuable way. And again, interaction with private industry, interaction with venture capital on a European level, allowing European venture capitalists to make use of interesting new opportunities on a regional level. And then those sustainable corridors, those sustainable interregional innovation collaborations are important. This is crucial for Project Europe. If we do not do that, then we'll have a hard time to create the benefits of that our European project. And we believe that the EDI network will be the backbone of those kind of activities, connecting Europe to the region. But we also think that it will expand its scope beyond the digital technologies towards other technologies. So that's my view on the European Digital Innovation Hub community in about 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maurits. And we will take it from here also to hear from some other actors in the ecosystem about what their view is going to be. So we are going to continue with a panel. And for this panel, we have actually 4 gentlemen around the table. We are going to have George Megas. Maurits, could you click one more? That's going to be just easier so people can see it. Yes, have George Megas with us here. He is an expert in the National Document Center in Greece. He's a national contact point, an EEN representative, and he is also a DIHNET ambassador, which is actually, we can argue in that session here, his most important role. We also have Pierre-Damien Berger around the table. Pierre-Damien is also a director of MinaSmart Digital Innovation Hub. He is also in discussions for the EDI candidate, and he is also part of the DIHNET Family Advisory Board member. And we have also Željko Pazin, who is an executive director EFRA and the Factories of the Future public-private partnership. So he's going to share his thoughts on the role of public-private partnerships in this ecosystem. So welcome to all of you. And of course, we have Maurits, who just spoke, and we're going to address him with some questions and responses. Sorry, Maurits, for missing this. So we have our 4 speakers, and I would like to give you the words so that we don't waste more time. But George, could you tell us, as a representative of the EE and as a national contact point, what is your vision of the European Digital Innovation Hub ecosystem, and what do you think is the role of the institutions that you represent in that ecosystem?
Hello to all. Hello, Kristina, and thanks for inviting us here. Hello, Maurits, and all the colleagues and attendees. I've been noticing Digital Innovation Hub appearing in the work programs of Horizon 2020 since I remember 2018, and I said, okay, this is mentioned too many times here, it must be important. Because, you know, as national contact points, we study the work programs and we try to support the proposers. And I was I am the national contact point for ICT, now digital, and industry and space. And we started focusing on this during workshops that we invited also Maurits and Pierre-Damien and others to make the audience and the proposers understand what digital innovation hubs are. And Maurits played a crucial role in this. We had a lot of talks and discussions, and then we started seeing other entities being able to contribute or being able to create a bigger hub feeling. And we started to see how the collaboration with the Enterprise Europe Network would be, and how the collaboration with the EIT knowledge innovation communities. So it's a huge thing, and there are opportunities and synergies. And as of the Enterprise Europe Network, we've had our Enterprise Europe Network working groups discussing the digitization of the network. So we have a full report on this that you can find online, and or you can ask me and I will send you the report on the digitalization of the Enterprise Europe Network services, which has a full chapter about collaboration with digital innovation hubs and the European digital innovation hubs. And the thing is that the Enterprise Europe Network has the collaboration aspect strengthened, and has the network running for many, many years. It has databases that you can find technological partners or research partners or business partners. And my idea, I shared it with the Enterprise Europe Network colleagues, was that it's a journey. Imagine that you have an SME that wants to go to the digital era, comes to the Enterprise Europe Network or to the local digital innovation hub, and first of all, maybe they need to be signposted to the digital innovation hub or the European digital innovation hub. They imagine a traditional company that creates cement or something like that, and they need an AI technology to create a better type of this kind of material. They can go to the digital innovation hub. They can to the appropriate one that does with material and deals with that, and they can actually try to do testings and try to do pilotings, and it could even be a startup. But maybe they need a technology that they cannot find or they cannot develop themselves. So they can also contact the Enterprise Europe Network. We can post a profile on the database of the Enterprise Europe Network requesting for specific AI technology on this algorithm, something. And they can find partners on this in the middle of their journey to co-develop their solution even further. And then there's also another collaboration that can happen in the end when they're about to go closer to the market. They can actually post a business profile, or they can go to a brokerage event and they can try to find, let's say, partners for distribution or actual sales. So there are collaborations there, and that can be that can happen. And of course, we can have the collaborations even in the early beginning of research in some areas. That's why the national contact point networks like Idealist are having specific tasks in their project, the new networks that we will collaborate with the Digital Innovation Hub, the European Digital Innovation Hubs, and the Enterprise Europe Network. So we'll see how this works with the NCP networks in the future. Now the proposals were submitted. And let's not forget also the IT kicks, because they are focusing on skills, training students, and on the entrepreneurial and innovation skills, and of course startups. And they have living labs. They have programs with big companies that are comprising the EITs. For example, in EIT Health that we are at EKT, we're collaborating with Philips, with General Electric Health. Those are creating programs that have also testing before investing, let's say, feeling in some cases. So there are many ways to collaborate. You will see the ways in the proposals in the end.
Thank you, George. Can I also ask you, so do you see the alignment on a regional level between all these partners, or do we have to go on a European level, or does it happen at different levels?
I don't see it working yet, but I see it in text, how it should supposed to be, because we have here in Greece and other countries that I've heard, their enterprise European partners in the European Digital Innovation Hub proposals. They're partners there, and also they bring their value and the in-kind contributions so that we don't have, let's say, overlaps. But I think it will happen. It is written, the plans are kind of there, but maybe the thing that glued them all together was the proposals of the European Digital Innovation Hub, I think.
Thank you. And maybe, Pierre-Damien, you can take it from here as a digital innovation hub and a potential candidate. How do you see the development of the ecosystem and the connection between all these partners?
Thanks for the invitation, Kristina and Maurits. Nice to see all the other people working on the EDIH in Europe. My vision would be, and actually this is the way that we are working at MinaLogic. So MinaLogic is the cluster based in Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes region. And we are working for many years on these topics to digitalize the company, either in their product, service, or production line. And how we do foresee the vision and the next steps that we have to perform is that, first of all, we have to stay in our, I would say, zone of comfort with the digital, and then we work with some other cluster at the European level, because it's always nice to mix and to share the experience. And this is what we are doing within the Silicon Europe Alliance. So we do have something like an alliance with 11 clusters. So for me, it's a perfect start of corridors, the way that we can set corridors through Europe. And what we do want to do as well within the EDIH purpose, respecting, I would say, the request from the Commission, is to enlarge this type of collaboration, first of all at the regional level with some application clusters. So we are working with 13 partners within our proposals, which is called MinaSmart, and we share the experience, the digital experience from digital cluster with some experience coming from the application clusters. So either in chemistry, textile, health, transport, energy, buildings, and so on. And thanks to this, we will share this type of business fair, this type of open innovation day, this type of brokerage event with some other clusters through Europe. And we are already working on the different collaboration that we want to set. So a few weeks ago, I was in Sweden. This week I will be in Italy to visit the EDIH candidate to make sure that we can collaborate in the future as soon as the Commission will launch the call and will select the candidate.
Thank you, Pierre-Damien. So do I also understand that you see kind of an evolution a little bit of your roles from a cluster towards a digital innovation hub and then with an EDI?
Oh yes, for sure. That's not a revolution within MinaLogic, but that's part of the evolution of the way that we work. MinaLogic has been created 15 years ago, and now it's time to change. So we are working for sure at the local area, at the local level, We are working also at the national level because we created a working place with all the candidates at the national level, and of course at the European level as it is requested. And that's the way that MinaLogic and MinaSmart want to see the future.
Thank you very much. I think that you also answered one of the concerns in the chat that we saw before, where is the role of clusters? And with your example, I think that the role of the clusters becomes very obvious and how they could be connected to a digital innovation hub in Panellists.
And this is why maybe at the very, very beginning, because I'm working for the EU DIH for maybe more than two or 3 years, I would say, at the very beginning where we had the meeting in Brussels, and MinaLogic as a cluster proposed to the region policy to lead this type of initiative, because it's the heart, I would say, of the cluster to launch such initiative at the local level, but at the European level as well.
And of course, in collaboration with other regional stakeholders, I'm sure. Thank you for this. Angelico, maybe you can tell us a little bit about how do you see the role of public-private partnerships such as EFRA in this ecosystem, and how could EFRA as a public-private partnership also support this collaboration?
Yeah, of course. Thank you very much, Kristina, and also to Maurits and to the organizers, to all of you for inviting me. So my name is Željko Pazin. I work for EFRA, and EFRA brings together the manufacturing community in order to engage with the European Commission in public-private partnerships. This used to be the Factories of the Future PPP, and now with Horizon Europe, the name of the partnership is Made in Europe. And I mean, EFRA is linked to hubs in several ways. First part of the Factories of the Future initiative is the I4MS initiative. So, and this started 10 years ago with kind of an innovative way of doing projects to use cascades of fund. And then later this, when the hubs approach then was developed, this fitted perfectly. So in this sense, we were there from the very beginning when the hubs discussion started, in the very first meetings, when there was some brainstorming, what can hubs do? What is the scope? Is it manufacturing and related things, or is it also tourism or anything? So I remember these discussions in the very beginning. As it was already said, I mean, manufacturing industry 4.0, this digitalization of manufacturing was such a big movement in the last 10-15 years that also the hubs very much coped with manufacturing, but from the beginning it was clear it's much more than manufacturing, agri and other businesses. So in this sense, as EFRA always had an interest in hubs. Through I4MS we had this direct link, and since we bring together many players, our role is also to inform people of opportunities, not only Factories of the Future calls, but in general Horizon 2020, Horizon Europe opportunities, and anything what's interesting at European level in terms of funding or ecosystem. This is our role, to inform people and to give them information and to involve them in these kind of initiatives. So that's how I see our role also in future, to inform people. I mean, the big players like TNO, the Fraunhofer Institutes, they are involved already, and they know all the information. But since we have many industry associations as members where the SMEs are active, that's a kind of our added value to really provide information to a big network of SMEs, manufacturing SMEs, who are interested in opportunities at European level to meet other people outside of their region. So that's how I see our role in the future. And then let's see what the future gives. I mean, to bring some critical words into the debate, you know, I mean, here in this meeting, we are all friends of hubs, and there's so much enthusiasm, and hubs are over everything, you know. And well, just to bring a bit of realism into the debate, you know, there are a lot of initiatives out there. The hubs approach is relatively new. If you compare it with the European Enterprise Network or with the partnerships, or with the EIT. You know, the European Enterprise Network exists since, I don't know, 40 years maybe. And of course, there's a lot there, and that also needs to be respected. You know, so I think we need to have a good collaboration of all these different initiatives, because they will all stay. It's not that everything will disappear and the hub will take over. That's absolutely not the case. And each of these initiatives, they want to grow, and they have a mandate, and they have a mandate to be successful, to involve private partners. Just to mention the missions, you know, there are high expectations of the missions. There's the EIT, there are the partnerships. So I think Europe is complex. I think it will stay complex. We need to stay in this cooperative mode. We need to provide the information to people, and they will then choose what is interesting. I mean, if you are a big institute or a big company, you will have a foot in all of these initiatives which are mentioned. But, you know, a small player will maybe choose, well, this year, this sounds perfect for me, so I will engage there. And this year I will engage there. And they will take the decisions. So I think our role is to offer these opportunities. So I believe the European innovation hubs, or hubs in general, have a good future, because you need the political will behind, which is the case. You need funding behind, which is also the case. So I think it's a bright future. But, you know, sometimes we need to be careful as Europe not to step on the toes of local politicians or local ecosystems. So it needs to be in a cooperative way. That's my message here.
Thank you very much. So if I understand correctly, your starting point, similar to actually what George mentioned, is the journey of the SME or the particular stakeholder, and then providing them with the right contact depending on their need. And as a PPP, you also see a role in this on a European level, maybe to connect the different stakeholders. Just one more question, because you mentioned providing information and relevant information. So we discussed this also earlier. What kind of information do you think we should share among ourselves, and how can we do this? Is it on a distributed way, as Maurits was suggesting, that we connect? Centralized way? What is your view?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's no golden solution. I mean, I think it works very well. You know, there are meetings, there are websites. So I think those people who want to get informed can get the information. So we need to continue using all channels, social media, webinars, etc. So I think we should follow the path. And then, you know, if I compare what we are doing now as compared to 20 years ago, before it was like this: there were funding agency or the government, and there were users of funds, you know, and then there was like two parties. And now with this whole new approach of cascading of funds, with these more complex structures, yeah, you have several categories. You have like the funding agency or the governments who provide the money. And then you have like some organizations, like in this case TNO or others, who are helping out in the organization of these programs. And then you have the final customer who doesn't need to know all these details. You know, they need to know, okay, this is I can go there. I need this service or this technology, and there's somebody, and I can go. They don't need to know what we are dealing with, the whole infrastructure behind. So in this sense, I think we always need to distinguish those of us who are pros in this and deal with this. You know, I live here in Brussels. I deal every day with these kind of things, and many of you too. But then there are others who just look for opportunities, and they want, you know, in 4 bullet points, they want to know, is this relevant for me, yes or no, you know? Yeah.
Thank you. Maurits, can I ask you to respond to this? And maybe one more thing, because we hear from different organizations, and we hear a call actually for not replacing stakeholders, but enhancing each other's position. So how do you see this happening in the future? You're muted, I think.
I'll mute. Yeah, so it makes me go back quite a bit of time. When I just started with TNO, I developed I made a report on technology and innovation, and I called it From 1,000 Flowers to a Bouquet. And it was about letting 1,000 flowers flourish. But if you only do that, then there will be no bouquets. And I think this is about creating a mechanism in which the 1,000 flowers, so all those existing activities can develop. But I think we need to organize and we need to coordinate, because in my experience in the last, let's say, 5 years, there's always been a struggle what different entities should do and what they should not do. And I totally agree with you, Željko, that we should not step on the things that are already done. We need to take stock of them. But for example, the eddies can be instrumental to be engaged with the EEN, but the EEN has different focus areas. They do different kind of things. You need to connect them to the eddies, sure. But and you need to take stock of the things that they already developed. But there are some other activities that the eddies can do. And that's something that I see quite sometimes going wrong. That everyone wants to do everything. And we need to engage with each other in a dialogue about how to demarcate what we are doing and what we are not doing. Because the not doing is the most difficult part. Everyone wants to do everything. And I think the thought leadership that we had within the DIHNET, there needs to be some follow-up of that, because what we also saw within the precursor network is that there's a lot of enthusiasm to engage with these kind of discussions. But there's not that much enthusiasm with the people taking hold and taking the leadership of certain discussions to go through. And that needs to be put somewhere as a responsibility to do that. So those are important aspects I see for the future, also with regard to what you said, Željko.
Thank you, Maurits. Maybe to respond to this, Pierre-Damien, as a digital innovation hub, do you recognize this challenge of demarcating roles in the ecosystem?
Yes, for sure. For us, the strategy is described well by Maurits, and this is the one that we do have. First of all, I would say several things. My wish, I would say, for the future, of course, will be to run this EDIH as we plan, but in a very easy way, with the people to do it, with the infrastructure to do it, and so on. So this is what we do set in place at this stage for the Région Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes and within our network of EDIH through Europe. We experiment as well a digital platform at the MinaLogic level. So of course it could be maybe the future of the next step. But overall, I would say the goal will be reached when we will have the way to facilitate for the SMEs the way to digitalize their product, service, or production line. So that's the goal that we should have all together, to make it simple, to make it easy for them, and that's going to be the goal of a strong economy within Europe. That's my bet and my wish.
Let's hope so. And maybe I also have a question for George, because he is also part of quite a few of these networks. And how do we start delineating these responsibilities, George? Is it by meeting one-to-one on a local level? Is it via the networking events? Is it by having people having two hats in the different initiatives? What is your vision?
I think by common working groups, that would help, like because I can put on a place what EN does, and Maurits can put on a place what EDIH will do, and someone from EIT could put on a place what EIT Digital will do, and then by comparing, you'd see where there's a lack of initiatives and where we have something missing. Also, people with different hands can help. For example, I can have an idea of what is the Enterprise Europe, what the Enterprise Europe Network is doing, and what the EDIHs are doing, and what the Enterprise Europe Network is not doing. For example, like we're not the Enterprise Europe Network is not doing testing before investing, or it has any support on the technological development. It's another thing to do technology transfer sometimes, and another thing to actually do testing, piloting, and experiments. Even innovation actions can do that, but not the Enterprise Europe Network, for example. Also, we need to be careful not to do what all of us are doing always: networking, connection, access to funding, access to programs, consultations. We should avoid doing only this, and we should focus on the competence center in the center of the digital innovation hubs and see how to take and add value to these services, because this is the hardest services for SMEs to find. That's my opinion.
Thank you. I think that we're almost out of time, and I know that we have a closing statement also from the Commission. But before that, I wanted to first of all thank all of the panelists. Thank you also, Maurits, for the vision of the ecosystem and its development. If I can sum up most of your opinions, it is that still, there is a need to collaborate. We have to build on what is already there, but we have to also find out how we can complement each other and what specifically each different stakeholder can bring to the table. And that happens on a regional, but also national and European level. And with that, Maurits, did you want to say something? No. Okay. No. And with that, I would really like to thank you and thank all the speakers. And I think that we now have a short message from Anna-Marie Sassen as well as a final statement.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you all. And